All right, so we are live. 3 seconds in, Dig the Falls. I'm here with Carl Bacchus and Russin. Sorry, I almost said it again. So we're doing our second kind of Ask Me Anything. We don't have anybody on quite yet, but we'll keep going. You guys, Stas, you want to start off, introduce yourself again?
So I'm Stash, of course. I am avid hiker in the Catskill Mountains. I love the Catskills. I'm always there every week. I'm search and rescue volunteer and public information officer of the Catskill Mountains. Second vice president of the Catskill 3500 Club, and I volunteer trail maintenance up on Thomas Cole, which is one of the high peaks. That's about it.
Awesome. How about you, Carl?
God, I feel so low compared to that. It's just such a
Oh,
high
screw that
right
geologist.
I'm Carl Bacchus. I'm a geologist, ice age geologist with the New York State Museum. I'm an avid trail volunteer at Dig the Falls at the Narrows Project in Troy, Monument Preservation Association in Troy, New York. What else? Member of Rensselaer Plateau Alliance and Rensselaer Land Trust, working on the different preserves on the east side of the Hudson River. I also hike the Catskills and the Adirondacks, but my main hiking area is actually is the White Mountains in New Hampshire.
Oh, I love that area.
Yeah, I'm at 37 to 48 4000s.
You're a psycho. I'm at 0, so.
Hey man, it's nice up that way. It gets some nice waterfalls up too. Some cool geology too.
Yes, they do. Yep. So I'll introduce myself real quick. Ed Smathers, founder of Dig the Falls. Very small portion of the team. I kind of take care of the technicals in the background. I try to set up, networking and try to create some relationships with some of the local groups like Mount Ida Preservation Society. Hopefully we'll get on live with them one of these next Sundays, I believe, is kind of the plan. So, but that's kind of what I do. I do a little bit of hiking, a little bit of waterfalling, and a lot of techie stuff in the background. So. And actually, you guys, before we got on, you guys started talking about some really interesting glacial stuff down in the Catskills. Can you kind of go on a tangent about that a little bit?
You're the man. Carl's the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have different ways that glaciers affect the landscape. Like Catskill Falls is an example of differential erosion of these different layers you have. I'm going to get this screwed up. It's been so long. I think it's a sandstone outcrop sticking out. And the shales, which weather quickly, are on the inside, create the bowl aspect of it. So you get this kind of, I got this backwards. Kind of like it's hard to do. There we go. Kind of like that.
Yes.
So you get these different bowls. And that's kind of, the glaciers can really make that, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Can heighten that degree of erosion. As at certain levels, you can have the meltwater flowing off. And as it slowly retreats, it's going to go erode away at those shales and blow them out. And you eventually get these things called hanging valleys. And we see that, I think I'm going to butcher this one. It's been so long. I think out in your Tully, it's Tinker Falls?
Tinker, yeah.
Yep. I think it's the one out there. It's a small one, but it's a hanging valley.
Yep.
Essentially, like Clark's Reservation in Syracuse is an example of a plunge pool where the glacier's sitting on top of this rock outcrop. Water's just pouring off, and it's making this deep hole. Yeah. And at Clark's Reservation, you can actually see when the glacier's pulling back, the water's flowing through the cracks. And that's how you get these differential erosion through there, and you get the ripple marks on the surface.
Now, Akron Falls is kind of like that. It's it's the upper waterfall to Akron Falls, but basically it's got like a shelf, and you could actually walk probably, 50 feet back inside there, and that shelf is, probably a couple feet deep. Is that something similar to what you're talking about?
I'm looking it up. Akron Falls, like Akron, Ohio?
No. Akron, New York. New York. There, it's a little town park. The main waterfall. Yeah. So the main waterfall is nothing like the upper waterfall. The upper waterfall is actually posted. It's very dangerous. But basically what it is there's like you can follow the creek. The entire creek bottom is just one flat shelf of stone. And it's the wavy kind of stone.
Yep.
And then, it just comes to Yeah, yep. And then you've got like a little sharp face, and then it just goes down maybe a foot or two, and then just cuts straight back underneath that shelf.
Yeah, and you'll find that same thing out in the Finger Lakes. It's how
Okay.
it's basically the shales will erode very fast. Kind of like Buttermilk Falls is actually eroding away at the face of it over time.
Right. Okay.
Like Titanic is actually an example of like a mini Niagara Falls. It's eroding back over time, slowly pushing itself further. Eventually, it'll go all the way up to the upper falls of Titanic. Same thing. I'm just trying to find it, and I'm using Diggle Falls. I'm going to use.
Just go Google. I've been actually you bring up a good point there that I've been having a lot of troubles with Dig the Falls in the last couple of weeks with this site, and I think I finally got it narrowed down to a couple of things and technical aspects of the back end of the site. So I got those taken care of. So anybody visiting the site should not see any more of those issues moving forward until we do an update, which should make this site even that much better. Nice. But keep going, Carl.
Yeah, I love the 2 bucket challenge, Ed. This guy.
Yeah, the 2 bucket challenge. We haven't done much enough with that actually. That's kind of fallen off the wayside.
Well, this year definitely. I think COVID was kind of a big downside to that. I mean, I tried getting out as much as I can. I think I spent more time at Mount Ida this year because Narrows. I helped maintain Narrows, but there wasn't a lot going on.
No, there was very little, if anything, going on there. Other than a couple of times that we got the groups together. It was individual actions that were taking care of the trails up there. So we have to get Stash up here, ripping on those trails. Definitely, man.
I gotta get back up there. It's been too long. It's just so much crap in the Catskills been going on. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Well, Stash, you guys helped out with the Postco Gorge, the Mount Ida Falls, right? I think you were there.
Yeah, I believe.
For my time, but
I think that's when you were first starting out with that area. We were like the first day of maintenance, and I went with that one guy to chop down those. I don't even know what they were. The bamboo right near the.
Oh, I think that was Joe, right? The older guy?
Yeah, the older dude that was just like happy as heck. He was so much fun.
Dude, he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. He just seriously took the freaking chainsaw and just went, I'm just like, oh, take it easy. You don't want to make it too big. We don't want this. But I guess that was the point because it's Albany. It's a little bit more popular. So but he went chainsaw happy and I'm just watching him fly through there. I'm just like, this guy is crazy, but he's fun.
Yeah. It was a new tool. So it was
it was. You're right.
But yeah, Joe Durkin, he's part of the Rensselaer Land Trust. Great organization. They've been really, really great about pushing people to the Narrows, and they're Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're stewards of a couple of the actual preserves around there as well, right?
Yeah, the Stallison Preserve, which is at the southeastern end of the Narrows when that gets done. Depending on how the zoning goes, it could be the southern end of it, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be branching those 2 preserves together, Burton Pond and Stalisman. We're going to be connecting those 2 so people can kind of through hike all the way down to the end of Mill Street and then hit the Mohawk Hudson bike path after that. So,
how many miles totally is this whole project?
I know it's currently it's like 1.5. What's completed? Total, I don't know. I would say probably almost at least 3 miles, but it depends on you got your jagged. I think a straight shot to it to Prospect Park. I think it's like 3, but then you got to add in the Stallison and all that. That could be like 4 to 5.
Yeah,
feels like it should be like 18 or something like that for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, I think if you took like a lot of the side trails and made the hike more interesting as far as like your direction goes, you could definitely add on those miles really fast because there's a lot of side tracks you can go that kind of meet back up with the main trail. So I think you're right, Stash. You could definitely jump that up past 10 miles if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I know one of the goals eventually, I think what we're going to do with the Narrows is connect up. The Mount Ida Dam was taken the center section was removed, so the lake was drained. So now it's kind of it's a nice wetland actually. It's a good nesting ground for the geese and the deer. And it's called an annual wetland now. So it still brings up. I think it's called smartweed. My brother said that was growing in there. He's a wetland specialist. That's kind of his thing. He does this like the exact surface stuff. I'm right below it to bedrock. That's what I specialize in.
Nice.
But now that gives us the ability to actually build trails from the from the Postico Gorge in the Prospect Park area up Linden Avenue through the cemetery or up Pauling Avenue, make trails and go to the Postico Bends Preserve, which is another great preserve that just opened. Well, not open yet. It will be. There's a few logistics things going on, but it will be hopefully even next year or two or so should be fully open.
Yeah.
And that'll actually be that'll be like one giant trail system linking 3 great preserves, and then with the new group Mount Ida started, the Friends of Postico Gorge Park, we'll actually be able to access the Mount Ida Falls better.
Nice.
The park that you guys worked on, is
that's great.
Has its own neighborhood group now.
Fantastic.
To maintain it and update it.
It's needed for a long time because that park has actually been kind of neglected for way too many years.
Yeah, it went through a lot of phases with like different people taking care of it. Either it was just them alone taking care of it. One person cannot maintain that place.
No, definitely not.
And the other thing is, you just need neighbors behind it. Once neighbors behind it, it really kickstarts. And I think the Narrows coming up there is going to be the next like hurrah of wealth. But I mean, they had the giant overlook deck there. They had the railings and stuff. You guys saw that.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see the waterfall at all once the trees grew in.
Yep. When I first went down there, when we cleaned up one time, it was flowing, but you're so far away that you could barely see. You could see the bottom half of the falls and a peak of the top of the falls, and I was just like, "Wow, that's a huge waterfall." I wish I could get closer, but there's.
Yeah, it's so. I think one of the main goals, I think, like especially like you guys saying, it's like if you take a few of the trees out. I mean, some of them are sumac, so not really that like, I guess, that beneficial of trees compared to like if you put like a nice oak in there or a nice chestnut,
right,
or something like that.
Yep.
You open it up a little bit more, it makes people less likely to go down to the bottom of the falls because you actually see it. And that's what we hope to do is open that up. And in Mount Ida, I'm hoping to get, I don't know what the race is to get the first Dig the Falls interpretive sign. Back at Mount Ida, we hope to have Dig the Falls, like even just like right at the history, have a photograph. We're going to put an overlook deck over the top of the falls. So you'll be able to see from the bottom of the park and then at the top at the Mount Ida because we own the top part of the falls.
Nice. It's going to be wicked.
Yeah. And it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of permitting and then figuring out the logistics of it because it's dangerous. But we want to be able to do it still, have it as a neighborhood asset, especially with the history of that area. I mean, that church was built, that the Mount Ida Preservation Hall was the Free Church of the Ascension. That was built for the factory workers because the whole creek bed was just nothing but factories.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing thinking.
That's like the Ithaca part, like of Albany. It's everything right there was for power and for mining and for building stuff is really wicked. You could easily look at that gorge and be like, yeah, they did power here. They built power here. It was water turbines probably and stuff like that for a lot of the beginning years.
And actually,
Ithaca Falls, right?
What,
I think it has that. Ithaca Falls has remnants of mills.
Yeah.
Ithaca Falls, and then it has what is that? Is that one over?
Hammer?
What's that?
Trip Hammer or what?
There's. Hold on one sec. Ah,
yeah,
God, it still has the plant there.
Yep.
The plant.
Well, no,
Countryman Businessman Falls.
I think so, but most of that fell down a couple years ago. I thought.
Oh, last time we went there, it was stuff was still up, like the pipes and the housing.
Okay, nice. Yeah, going back to Troy for a second, Joe Durkin. I mean, he knows all the history of that entire creek. So maybe sometime we'll have to get him on here and explain how they used to actually ration the water off to each one of the mills to make sure all of them, produce the optimal amount of energy for their actual mill. It's pretty interesting.
Well,
talking to him.
I do know one thing from that, Ed. The Burden Pond Falls and then the one waterfall. Yeah, no, the one by John Johansson's property. God, what's that? It's like the lower. It's not the lower Burden Falls. Basically the first waterfall
Yeah,
of Lionsgill.
Yeah, I think that's Burden
I
Falls.
think it's a lower Burden Falls, and this is a Burden Dam Falls.
Yeah.
But those two, the court case that they went to was the first Supreme Court case on water rights in the United States. U.S. Supreme Court case, all the way.
Wow, that's nuts.
So there is history at that one, and that I think it needs a historic sign.
Yeah, definitely. And that's back in the like mid 1800s. I can't even remember.
I want to say earlier than that because they were producing horseshoes for the Civil War.
Okay.
I mean that's how old that thing was.
Okay. Yeah, I mean Joe would be able to probably pick the exact date out of his head. So.
He probably picked it 2:00 in the afternoon on this day.
Yeah. Yeah, Businessman's Lunch Falls are also called Wells Falls, is where the factory was at.
Okay.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Julie had it too. For anybody that's watching, check out Show Me Your Falls. They're, they pop up some good stories, lots of fun, some great photos. So follow them if you can on Facebook and Instagram.
They're very fun.
Yeah, Julie's awesome. We need to get out with her again very soon as well, along with the rest of you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, Carl, you had been working on something for quite a while, and we did a podcast several months ago, and you got to kind of semi-spill the beans on it a little bit. And I wondered if maybe you could talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see.
Make sure that you can anyway.
Yeah, so basically, what I do at the state, we have like these federal grants that pay for our map, and we do geologic mapping of the state, looking for basically natural history of the state. And one of the things is like we want to do is we try to see what's below the surface. That's where our biggest unknowns are, because you can see everything at the surface. Like like I got this wall behind me. It could be layers of rock, and you say, okay, that's bedrock, and that it can be. It can only tell you so much, because once you get to that where the surface is, okay, well, what's below it? So, and that's the biggest question mark in most areas. Like, okay, I want to put a water well, and how far do I go? It's like,
okay,
you want to find these porous areas, like these sand layers where water's flowing through easily. Now, you don't want to go put your well in clay, because you're not going to get anything out of it.
Right.
So,
and I guess that's what I was going to ask actually, is why is this important? Why is this project important? Because a lot of people listening might say, okay, yeah, we'll know what layers are in our ground. Who cares? So why is that important for what you're doing?
So, with the museum, our biggest thing is we're trying to understand the natural history.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we can find, okay, what else can we interpret out of this? It's different, like, where's groundwater flowing? So, like, in Ithaca, all we know is at the surface, you say, okay, it's pretty flat here. It's a delta plane.
Right.
So I think it's 120 meters above sea level. I can't remember the conversion of that is...
Times 3.
Yeah, times 3. It'd be about
661.
Yeah, that's like times 5.
360. Sorry.
When I'm at my desk at work, I can get that in like 2 seconds. But after that, But so as we're drilling this, we're looking for like what's the ice issue. So when the glacier comes through, you get this clay to gravel mixture. So it's a really binding. You got this giant glacier, the heavy thing, pressing on the sediment, and it's grinding on the bottom. So it's picking up these boulders or erratics. It's like Stosh was finding the erratics. It picks these up and it's tumbling them. So it's basically blowing them to pieces, but also at the same time you get this gravel in there. So as it's churning, it's depositing this under the glacier. So sometimes it's going to be milling, kind of rolling, or it's going to be just flat going over. It might hit a boulder, like a big like ridge. Actually, as it's hidden there, it melts the glacier, goes over, and refreezes. So you'll get this different basal sediment that will change. But then as a glacier's retreating, as it's going backwards, it's going to be melting off all the sand. So you can get this nice sand layer outwash. So like, try and give it a good example of these areas. Where's this giant? So I know, like, I did my master's degree in Michigan, and Michigan's an example of this. It's this giant melt out, so just full of sand. Big areas like
Pine Bush.
The pine bush is a good example, yes, but that's a lot of aeolian sands. That's a lot of windblown sand. That's where you get the sand dunes.
Gotcha.
A lot of that came from out west. But like northern, like Saratoga County, like Boston Spa, that area's got tons of sand. That's just outwash plains.
Okay.
The areas south of Sacandaga Lake, same thing. You get that. And then as the glacier's really far back, you got this moraine. So the land is rebounding behind it as the glacier's pulling back, so that the weight's off the surface. So now the Earth's rebounding. So that's going to hold. That's going to be a higher point between that and the glacier. You get this lake, and it'll deposit silt, and it'll deposit clay, and then in like a summer months, you'll get a little higher energy flows. You might get like a little bit of sand coming in. So it almost looks like candy canes.
Interesting.
So you can actually get radiocarbon, like organic samples in these little sand layers, and that we can actually carbon date that and get almost down to years, and you get the sequences. They call them VARs, and it happens every year in these cycles. And that's one thing we found in 2018. And it's just really cool to see this in person. It's just how it looks almost like a candy cane. This red clay, white sand, red clay, white sand, red clay, white sand.
Nice.
But then the glacier might come back again. So now the glacier's taking the top part of that sediment, churning it again, adding more to it, then pulling back. And you see these cycles. And that's one thing we're looking for. And like today on the we posted one of our figures, and that shows that. It shows multiple layers, and we're finding these advances. So in between these what we call a till, so that clay to gravel stuff is called dimecton, but if it's caused by glacier, we call it glacial till. We interpret it as that. And in between those, you can lock water. And now it's protected, so it's got what's called an aquitard, so it's slowing the rate of water flowing between them. So aqua and water. And then that prevents water flow from going through the one layer and down between the bottom layer. So it's going to flow between it. So that's protected from contaminants flowing above it.
Nice.
So you have like oil coming down. Well, oil, it's not. It's a bad one. Like a PFOS or PFY. It's actually hit the top of that layer and then flow atop that. It won't go to that layer. So it's important if you're looking for like a clean water source. You want to be able to get into one of these layers that's protected, because that like if you're going on top of the till layer, you might be getting oil in your water or PFOS or anything in your wells. And that's and New York is one of the very few places that doesn't have a lot of data. We don't really know.
Interesting.
So this is why it's important. And that's one reason why we do this mapping projects. It seems like, oh, well, who cares? It was done 100 years ago. Now we know more. Now we can reinterpret these areas. You can redo all this and fix it. So that's why I love what I do. That's why I did my master's. I did it in an area that was never mapped. Nice. And we were able to find all these. There's just giant aquifers full of water, and we don't really have it here. I've never really seen it in New York. The center pivot irrigation. We see like giant circles in the ground. Like when you're flying over, you're like, oh, it looks like a bunch of polka dots. It's this giant well that sucks up 1,000 gallons a second. And has this giant rotating arm that goes around and sprays water. That's how they irrigate their crops in the summer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Gigantic aquifers, which we don't really have that because we still get enough rain here in the summers. Generally, not all the time, but we don't have the aquifers to sustain that type of water. We don't have the sand at the surface. So like, you get to like just south of Lake Ontario, you get to the Drummond Ice Plains. That's when the glacier's really flowing. It's making these streamlined features. That's what the Drummonds are in the Weedsport area. As you're going out west of 90, you see all these rolling hills. That's what you're seeing. You're going perpendicular to the way the glacier was going.
Oh, interesting.
At 90,
okay.
So.
Awesome.
But that's one thing. That's one thing you really don't see. You don't see waterfalls in this sediment because it erodes too fast. That's when you only get really in bedrock, and that's where it kind of like starts backing away from my specialty. But it's still interesting to see the way the bedrock interacts with that.
With that data that you're collecting, you could theoretically also kind of determine the weather patterns of the time as well.
Yes, because as the glaciers are kind of pulling back, it's starting to get warmer in theory. If it's melting, it should be getting warmer.
Right.
So you're going to get kind of these small plants. I was telling Stosh, like when you go to like the summits of these high peak mountains above tree line, you get these smaller plants, Dryas and tegrifolium you can date. So you're actually able to see the climate cycles going back. We know them as marine isotope stages. So MIS 1, 2, 3, and that tells us that's kind of universal thing in the Great Lakes region, what we use for dating glaciers. And I guess the whole world uses it. And then you can kind of like, I got this date. It's been between these stages. So that tells us that's an interglacial period.
Interesting.
So, and then there's like glacial, like in theory right now, we should be in a major glaciation right now. But we're not. according to the cycles, we should be in it. But
interesting.
There's a lot of research into that. But
wow, that's nuts.
But that's the gist of it. New York is really interesting because it's one of the very few states in the country that has volcanic rocks, metamorphic rocks, sedimentary rocks, and has been undergone glaciation. It's been in the tropics before. That's where we get our limestones from. So you have like all these different glacial patterns, all these different glacial periods, all in New York State.
That's cool.
Nice. That's
like
wicked.
and you've ever seen the Palisades? That's all columnar basalts. That's igneous rock right there. That's volcanic rock.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
And the Catskills, they're all sedimentary, and then all the Adirondacks are metamorphics.
Yep.
So
very cool.
And then you get like Rensselaer County, like where Mount Ida Falls are, and that's just this massive stuff put together. It just churned rock, and it's been more metamorphosed, so you can get everything there.
I love seeing the bedrock out in the Troy area, just because it's like I don't remember really seeing that anywhere else in my travels, like as exposed as that. Anyway, it feels like most of the waterfalls around that area have exposed bedrock.
Yeah, it's really it's cool. I love growing up here, and that's one thing that really got me in geology was the Wyanskill Creek and Narrows and all that. The Mount Ida Falls.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing is, like, in the Finger Lakes, you can kind of see like these patterns in the rock. Everything goes in like a certain direction. But you notice in Troy, it's kind of like this weird flowing one. It's because it's so like in the Finger Lakes, the fracture patterns are generally like. Actually, I got this map of New York State behind me. Look at that. So New York. Actually, I see if I can do this. Going backwards. Yep, that way. There we go. So New York has a fracture pattern kind of like this. So when Africa collided with the United States, the North American plate. North American plate, we'll call it that. You get like in Pennsylvania, you get that weird bend and it goes up.
Yeah.
So you see that fracture pattern. You can actually trace that arc in Pennsylvania through New York and the fracture patterns in the rock.
Okay.
So that's why you kind of get like Tuckhannock goes a certain way because that matches one of the fault sets that goes this way or this way.
Mm-hmm.
But like in Troy, once you get across the Hudson, it's completely different. It's just all this molded, it's folded, it's vertically faulted, it's fractured. So it's all these different ways. So all the water has to do is find, okay, well, I'm going to go this way. And it starts eroding it down and you start getting this direction. Oh, well, it's going to go this direction. And it meanders over time. And eventually it'll plow through the center of that, be a straight. This will be an oxbow.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But I think it's just because like in Ithaca, it's like all these shales and it just preferential just gets wider and wider and wider and wider. And then you get this wide chasm.
Yeah. So when we talked last time, you actually talked about how you saw how the glaciers were going almost perpendicular, historical glaciers compared to the most recent glaciers, right? As far as the way they were traveling.
Yeah. So like you can see, like one thing is the Finger Lakes are fjords. Think of Norway. That's what the Finger Lakes are. We have these giant freaking lakes and you can see it kind of like finger. Yep. There's a glacial lobe. So that's your actual glacier coming through. And these are the flow lines, the water flowing out under it. And that's where you get the Finger Lakes. The map is closer, you can see it. But then in some of these areas where you can actually find these kind of almost perpendicular valleys that are buried because as the glaciers, these were probably original like river valleys. Okay. And as the glacier went over, well, they weren't in the right way and they filled in over time. That's ongoing like projects, but you sometimes you get like water wells that be like 10 feet to bedrock, and here's another one like a mile away. Oh, it's 400 feet deep to rock.
Wow!
And there's a valley, and it's just there seem to be all over the place like that.
Okay, interesting.
But that's what's cool. Like you see like Cuca Lake is a good idea. You get this kind of like Y pattern. It's almost like two met together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but it's some of these waterfalls are also probably remnants, like especially like Tuckhannock. It's just been either eroded the sediment away, or it was always as the glacier is pulling back, it was activated as a meltwater channel. So there's no sediment left because it's already washing off as the glacier is pulling back, and now nothing was deposited on top of it, and it's still to this day flowing in there. Like there's some cool things in these areas where you can you'll go and you'll see bedrock here, but then all of a sudden, whoa, that doesn't look like rock, and it's not rock. It might be a glacial till or a lake clay or something like that. And those are the cool things you don't really see.
Interesting.
All that often, if they are, that's cool. We should find those.
Yeah, I think I have to admit, you're a lot of what you're talking about. I'm a rock guy. I love geology, and talking a lot of the stuff you're talking about is over my head.
Well,
Same here.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. The funny thing is, when I graduated undergrad, I was all like bedrock. Like I want to study metamorphic igneous, like cool minerals, like awesome.
Yeah.
And then I went. My first internship was at the museum, and I got introduced to glacial geology. I'm like, whoa, no one's ever talked to me about this stuff. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, glacials, like, that came through, and who cares? And you realize like how affected you actually are by glaciers. Like, oh, you need sand and gravel for your house. Where do you go? You go to the sand and gravel pit, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's
right.
a glacial outwash plain. Like,
Interesting.
oh, the glaciers gave me that. Like, and drinking water. A lot of times, if you don't have a reservoir, you get your water from wells. Most of the time, the wells are either in the sediment or it's sometimes they go in the bedrock. Sometimes I've heard like getting drilled like 600, 800 feet when they could have gone like 150 feet and there's sand and been fine.
Wow.
But that's it all depends on the driller and the regulations and stuff. So.
And I've been to a couple of gravel pits, and I have to say I've found my best fossils from those places. I remember as a kid, I went in, I found it was a huge piece of sandstone. I think it was a piece of sandstone. I broke the thing in half, and I found a trilobite that was probably this big around. And that was specific to Western New York. And it was basically just sand and gravel pit. Is basically what that one was. So okay, so I'm gonna stop muttering because we're gonna get Kara on here as well.
Cool.
Oh.
Kara, she's finally graced us with her presence. You good?
Hi.
Hi, you're live, by the way, so no swearing.
Okay, shoot. I was watching, so I figured I would come on and add absolutely nothing to this conversation.
Perfect. Just like me.
This is a busy conversation. It's crazy because everybody's just like this with Carl. Like, oh my God, what is he going to say next? It's amazing.
I know. Well, I heard something about fjords, and I was like, "Ooh, I was in a fjord in Alaska, so that sounds fun. Let me come on and say like nothing."
I wish. I can't wait. I wanted to travel so bad this last year, and then COVID. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I want to go to Norway. I want to see these. I can talk about glacial geology. I've never seen a glacier in real life.
You got to go up to Canada then, man.
Oh, I'd love to.
Western Canada, Canadian Rockies, man. I was so stupid when I was next to the Athabasca Glacier. And it had like signs, don't proceed over here, use caution and stuff. When we had microspikes, we should have went over there. We never did. We were like 50 feet away from the glacier, and all I wanted to do was go up and like touch it and be like, wow, you're like 17,000 years old. Holy shit. But we didn't do it. And I was so mad at that. I was just like, my God, you're right there. But that place is just beautiful, full of glaciers that are accessible. I mean, it'll take like a maybe 6 mile nice hike too, but they're right there.
I was in Butte. I think that's the closest I ever got. Butte, Montana.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what was that? What's that called? The
richest hill on earth?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the copper mines. That was cool. I was out there for a conference. I was like, whoa. It was like, prime destination, Butte, Montana. I'm like, what? But it's a nice town. I was there for 6 days. It's absolutely beautiful. Of course, I was out there in May. It was 70 degrees here. It was 23 degrees in blizzard conditions the entire time there, but it was fun.
I did. I hit Calgary one time, and when I touched down, it was something like negative 40 something degrees when I touched down. So I got off the plane, and like my nostrils just froze immediately.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I was in San Diego, and it was like 75 there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Calgary gets that. It's like, I don't know. It's just so flat and stuff, and the winds just come right down the valley.
That's brutal.
And I forgot what they call those things. Is it Chinooks?
I think so, maybe, yeah.
They call them Chinooks, where it's just like all of a sudden, bam, they get like mad, horrible weather. And that's what the guy says. He's just like, one of the guys I met was just like, yeah, He's like, Calgary can be 70 degrees one day, and then the next it'll be like negative 40 with
Dude.
winds of like 60 miles per hour. And he goes, we don't know what happened. We weren't ready for it. I was like, well, that sounds like New York State. It's like we have like 70-degree weather, and next 2 days we'll have 36 inches of snow. I'm like, it's fun.
Yeah. It's snowing in July. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Today was beautiful. Though. I enjoyed it every second.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Dude, I got into the garden for a couple minutes today. It was fantastic.
Oh,
Got the kids out, cleaned out the chicken coop. I'm not supposed to have a chicken coop.
Nice.
Hey, bud.
So, Carl,
That's cool,
I got a
though.
question.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to know this. What is with Moss Island in Little Falls? Can you tell me?
Oh, yes.
Give me a
That
second.
seems so awesome.
Have you, Ed, have you ever been to Moss Island?
No, I have not, to tell you, and I'm curious to know about it. Like, what's the deal?
It looks like it's in the Mohawk River, of course. It's of course an island. The way everything, it's like it's not a Grand Canyon. It's like canyons out west in Utah and stuff.
Yeah.
Everything is smooth, small, cut into little pieces. I have, if I can share the screen, I have pictures of what it looks like.
I lived in Canajoharie. I was close enough. What the?
Just for like initial looking at this, at the shape of it, this looks like evidence of an outburst flood. I might be wrong, but there's a glacial Lake Iroquois which used to occupy basically the Lake Ontario Basin, the lowlands of like basically like Oneida Lake, all the lowlands around there, basically into all the high points like up along the side of Tughill Plateau is a massive lake. And used to occasionally, there's a dam that was somewhere here along when the ice was occupying the Albany area. It would open up in a large burst of flood. I mean, think about how big that lake was. If that drops even a foot, how much water's flowing?
Right.
And these things, I know them in eye shape. I can't remember off the top of my head the technical term for their shape, but they look like an eye. They kind of got like the Augen. I guess Augen would be the best way to put it, which is German for eye. And that's what this looks like. This looks like evidence of that, which would explain why it's smooth.
Yeah.
It's got all this water flowing over it. And just from the shape of that, that's what's telling me. Because you see these, where's the best example I can show you real fast? Oh God. I know where they are in LiDAR, but you can't see it when it comes down to
Can you
like
see
looking
that?
at it.
No.
Oh, it's not showing it?
No, it's not.
Oh, that sucks.
I can't help you share either. I apologize for that.
Yeah, what it basically looks like is what you said out west, where everything's smooth and like just the weirdest shapes, but it's so odd where they are at. It's like right on the outskirts of the island, and it was very fascinating. It's very sad because it's all graffiti all over there too now, but it's just absolute phenomenal place.
And you said the Little Falls?
Yep, right below Little Falls.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, that's the only thing based on just like not being able to see it in person, but that's one thing I would think it would be, because I explain why it's smooth, that shape, because basically it's like the path of least resistance. The rock was in the way, so it just went around it, and then as it went around, it got less resistance, so it made this Augen shape, so it go boom around. Interesting. Kind of like that.
Wicked.
That's the only thing I can think of with that. Just looking at without, but it's bedrock, so that would explain why it's a hard substance that went around. But I mean, the Mohawk Valley is just so interesting in itself. How it formed, and there's a whole bunch of different areas. Where is it out here?
The hit field trip.
Because like the southernmost exposure of metamorphic rocks in New York State is actually along the Thruway. And Jacob's Ladder, Jacob's Nose, are tall out cliffs you go by, and like there's just enough room to get like the railroad and then like the Thruway.
Yeah.
As you go around, there's like a little white house up on the hill. Right below it, that's actually granite. That's like the southernmost outcrop of that granite in New York State. It's just that little tiny cut. That's it.
Interesting.
I used to go by that every day, and anytime I came back from grad school, I'd go straight by that. Undergrad, at Oswego, coming home, I'd go by that.
Sweetness. Well, excellent. Thanks for the explanation. That makes sense.
So you see, that's kind of like you get like out near Amsterdam, there's few gravel bars. It's the same thing. You have like a pile, and eventually just forms around it. It creates just kind of like eye shaped.
It's like a chute.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to start looking for those then. I mean, are they pretty common, or
you need a lot of water, you need a lot of energy to form them. That's the thing. It's like there's one down near like Queen Selkirk. If I had the lighter, I could send an image of it. You don't see it if you're looking at like aerial imagery. You won't see them at all, except for like that in Moss Island, because that's obvious. But there's just this little pile. Like I know there's a big one out in Idaho.
So like when you're looking down on them, they actually make an eyeball looking shape, like start like a whole very narrow, and then kind of like a okay. I
could just draw it.
It's interesting.
I wish I could share that picture of it. It's pretty wicked. What Moss Island is.
Looking down on it. Okay.
It's very rare. It's not very rare, but it's rare in here to have smooth stuff like that in such a short, small area. Usually in New York State, they're huge and they're wide, but these are like little things that you got to whizzle your way through. And it's a very interesting place. And what sucks is that there's graffiti all over the place there.
Yeah.
And there's trash and stuff, and it's just it's horrible. But yeah, I was just going upon pictures and I saw that and I was just like, Carl would definitely know the answer to this. So
like little things like that. Those are easy. Like I guess that to me would be like a textbook example. I just don't have like good. I don't have good examples of them anymore. Aside from like you pointed good. Hold on,
Stash. Hold on.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that would explain it, because that looks like it's been eroded over time. I mean, that's the thing is like potholes. Like you see these like giant giant holes, and they got big. If you look at them, they should have big stones in them, right? You ever seen a pothole type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I live in Canada, man.
We gotta go for a drive this summer. So basically, as the water's flowing, you get all this high energy. It actually picks stones up in flow and actually spins around, just erodes out. It's just like churning butter. Yeah. Just that's exactly how those potholes form. That looks like giant potholes over time that have been exposed.
Huh. The one in Canada is like I don't know, 12 or 14 feet across, and however deep it is, and then there's dozens of smaller ones out there too. But middle of the summer when the water goes way down, that thing heats up like a bathtub. It's awesome. But the local police don't like you playing around in the stream bed. So anybody that heard me talking about that pothole needs to understand that they're going to get ticketed if they go there. So
disclaimer.
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 You can look, just don't get your feet wet. So that's basically how they explain it.
So Cara, how's it going?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry,
we're blabbing away about everything here. Just listening to Carl's amazing stuff. I love geology, so I'm sorry. I just love.
No, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool too. And I was interested in your question because I had found out about Moss Island maybe like over the summer or something. I was like, wow, that's like in the state. That's crazy.
Right. I saw pictures and I forgot why my wife and I wanted to go up there, but we just went up there and it was it's well documented, like where it is and stuff, but it's just that place is so small and such a cluster of like trails that lead you to nowhere. And there's trash all over the place. But when we explored it, we were like, I've never seen anything like this in New York State. I'm like, this is out west in the canyons and stuff like this. So
very cool. Yeah.
Check that place out.
Yeah, this looks pretty cool. Yeah.
It's not that. I mean, it took us an hour and 15 minutes to get up there. So, and then there's this was during. Well, it wasn't during the pandemic. It was more towards the end of summer. So, we went to a nice little pizza place afterwards in Little Falls.
Yeah.
And we went up and saw the wind turbines up by Morrisville and stuff, right off of the thruway and stuff. It was great.
Yeah. Can you? Would you recommend taking kids, or is that a no?
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee that place is full of kids all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Live kids, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not full of dead body kids.
I'm looking at some photos. It looks like there's giant potholes there. Like. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, what's his name? Russell Dunn did a stuff on that in his Remarkable Rocks.
Okay, see, I didn't see that.
But yeah, he
I don't know how
tells
I
about
missed
the
that.
potholes.
Okay. Huh.
Let me
Interesting.
see if I can find a picture and share it again. Like like that place is just a really cool. It's really, and it's like short, very short stuff. Like you can wander around, but you're right there by the river, and the river's kind of disgusting in that area. So
Yeah. Yeah, it gets a little sketchy down towards the river in that town for sure. No, it's
Oh,
a beautiful
that's
area.
disappointing.
Yeah,
but it's
well,
still accessible. Hold on, let's see.
yeah.
me see if I
Along
can-
that portion, like between Syracuse and I would say Schenectady, the smaller towns they're just smaller towns basically. So it's unfortunate because a lot of the towns have a lot of history, and I mean the buildings and some of the houses there are just magnificent, just beautiful. But there's nothing else around. So,
Are you able to see that, Ed?
oh yeah, let me pull that up for you. There we go. Okay,
That's
wow, yeah.
yeah, that's
Is
Jessica
that
down
Jess?
there by the.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Trying to figure out how to go to the next picture, but
Huh? Yeah, you should be able to go to choose.
hold on.
Don't feel bad if you have to. Oh, that's nice too.
Yeah,
See, there's graffiti all over the place.
Yeah, of
that's on
course.
my list.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow, yeah, that's beautiful.
I looked up someone's post. It says it's made of it's igneous rock.
Okay,
Oh, interesting.
that's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely holes everywhere.
Okay, so it's almost like what's the little preserve in going back towards geez, now I'm going to forget the Robert
Treadman?
yeah, no, shoot, I'm going to forget about it. But there's the small preserve next to the school that has all the caves and it's several little waterfalls on it.
Yeah, that's
course,
Next to the school.
yeah, past
the
Fort.
dog.
Jeez,
Owen.
I'm having
Owen.
yeah.
Oh, Owen D. Young.
O&D, yeah. Is that igneous as well? Because that one's like very, very porous. All of those.
The Owen D. Young, I think, is granite. Actually, it's more of a rougher area. I wish I had. This is my computer. I
I'm
have
trying to see where it is.
Owen D. Young. It's up in God, what's that place? Stark, New York.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick because I'm having so many.
Owen D. Young Interpretive Center or something like that.
Van Hornisville? Oh,
Yeah,
Stark.
Van Hornsville.
Hornsville.
Yeah.
Well,
If you look up some of the images on there, on the waterfalls themselves, like I've got pictures of the rock, like the rock face itself during a very cold day will actually extrude the ice out of the rock face because it's so porous. So you get these little kind of ice columns out of the face of it. It's very cool.
trying to see
But then like on the away from that rock, there's a lot of materials kind of the water has a lot of why can't I think tonight? Has a lot of stuff in it that deposits onto the actual surface of the hills. So like if you've got a leaf that lays there too long, kind of like what you see in Saratoga Springs, if you have a leaf that lays there too long, it'll actually cover that and coat that in those materials. It's really, really interesting.
It's been so long since I've been
Yeah.
there.
I'm looking at the maps right now. I'm just curious.
I can't think of
Without
any.
being there in person, I can't like.
Oh yeah, it's. Let me see if I can find it for you because I've got. Let's see here.
Luckily, it's like right at the corner of like where Madison, Otsego County, Herkimer and Otsego County meet.
Cara, where are you based out of?
Troy. East side of the
Cara,
Hudson.
Yeah. Okay.
Cara.
We're really close in names here, so it's.
I'm just north of Buffalo.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're pretty far away from all this. So sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
You guys are out there.
It's absolutely amazing though. You definitely would love taking a trip out there with the kids, Carl.
Yeah, this is saying
Yep.
I can't.
skill.
I'll find some pictures. I don't have them on this computer, unfortunately, but I'll send you. So basically, to me, some of the rock that forms those caves looks like a giant sponge. Like that. That's kind of the best
yeah,
way I
you're
would
right.
explain it. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was like granite because it has so many different things, but it does have the chutes and stuff like that in the caves and stuff.
Yeah, Woodruff.
So there was definitely some massive water flow in there to carve those caves.
It could be limestone though. I'm here. Like the New York State geologic map showing Cobbleskull limestone salina group, which is limestone. So you could have water flowing through. It's pulling the calcium out of the rock and forming caves.
Yeah.
So it could be that. It could be like just a. Bedrock's not my specialty, but
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because there is a lot of limestone in that area. It's just I'd never seen it kind of quite like that. But you do look around some of the smaller springs coming out of the sides of the hills, and there is a lot of it could be lime coming out of the sides of the hill. So, and you've got where's Sulphur Falls? It's in Sharon Springs. That actually smells like sulfur.
Oh, so, that's gotta be disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Like Sharon Springs itself was like a hub between here and the West way back when, and they had hot water springs there, and or not hot water springs. I apologize. They basically a bathhouse, and they had 4 different types of spring water that would flow into the bathhouse. It had different minerals in it. And the Indians used to use it for various reasons. Like it's actually a really cool town, very small. They have what is it, the Great American or something. There's a hotel there that has a really great lunch brunch we went to one time. But like that, I believe is further up the valley than Van Hornsville, or at least part of that kind of area.
It's in the same. It's like just above it in the same layers of rock.
Yeah.
It's like just above it. I think that's Helderberg group. I want to know. Yeah, it's gotta be No,
Helderbergs are
no. The group of rocks.
John. Oh, okay. I got you. Sorry. Well, yeah, knowing that, I mean, that might kind of give you an indication of what kind of rocks you're looking at. But to anybody watching, I would definitely say go to the, is it the O&D or the Woodruff Center?
Well, I always thought it was the O&D Young Center, but
some people call it Woodruff.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, it's right in Van Hornsville.
Robert Woodruff Learning Center. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, not the O&D. Okay, Robert Woodruff. Yeah, Julie had that the first time. But anybody looking for a great trail, it's right next to the schools, so it's kid friendly. It has several waterfalls, and it's great during the winter or summer. Even during the summertime, the water's a little low, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Kara, you got to get out here and do that. It's actually a really cool hike for sure.
I will someday.
It's a long haul. That's like what, 4 or 5 hours for you?
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Stay in Cooperstown while you're out.
I'm not really going to go too far with a 1-year-old. I'm like not that adventurous. I'm adventurous, but
yeah, I don't blame you actually. Jess and I, when we had Charlotte for the first 2 years, we wondered how anybody literally did anything with more than one kid. Like with both of us, we'd be in the car, and we'd be doing things how do people do more than one kid? And then, we had the twins, and it's it just blew our mind at the time that we were going to have twins, and somehow it works. it kind of starts flowing after a little while. So hopefully the 1 year grows up quickly for you, so you can start adventuring as much as you used to.
Yeah.
Crazy. You guys are crazy.
Yeah. See, Stash, you and Jess are on the road, on the path to being animal parents forever, right?
No, we already are.
Yeah. But
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago when we made that decision and did the process, I guess I would say. But yeah, forever animal parents, whether it's dogs, cats, or raccoons. I want to get a raccoon.
That'd be awesome, actually.
Raccoons or possum.
Possum would be nice too. I've heard they're great. They'll never get what is that? Rabies. So
yep, they never get rabies.
And
they always eat insects and ticks and fleas. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had a babysitter way back in the day that had a raccoon. I never met it. It was before we met, but she said that she would give the raccoon a sugar cube, and I guess they like cleaning their food before they eat it. So they would take it over to the water bowl, and the sugar cube would dissolve before he could actually eat the sugar.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So I'm hoping she didn't do it too many times in a row. But yeah.
Wicked.
I always wanted a squirrel, actually. I thought a squirrel would be fun.
Some squirrels around my house are so domesticated that they'll come up and sit there and wait and stare at you. And they're walking. You put your hand out and you have like a peanut in your hand, they come up and just grab it in your hand, walk away.
Take it right out. Oh, that's awesome. We have a couple of them outside our window here because we keep our compost bucket outside the window, and they've gotten to the point where like we'll open up the window and they don't even care. They just kind of hang out. So they're like hybrid things. Like I've never seen squirrels like these before. Like they're walking around. They've got like big white tufted ears. And some of them have like shorter, smaller tails, and some of them are red. It's like I don't know. It's like they're hybrids of some sort.
Interesting.
Yeah, somebody doing some weird things with the squirrels out here.
It's all the compost they're eating.
Yeah, right.
Get mutated.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
the same thing.
There's a lot of compost out there. When you see a squirrel walking up a tree with the pit of a one of those avocado pits. Yeah. He's like the thing's like this big. He's just walking up the tree with an avocado pit. It's crazy. So
nice.
Yeah. Working out. So Kara, I forget. Have you ever met Carl? Okay, so Carl, this is Kara. Kara, this is Carl. You scared her away.
Yes, apparently did. I joined the new group she made. I like the idea behind it.
Yeah, I do too, actually. I haven't gotten into it as much as I want, but you probably have a pretty good handle about what the group's about. And do you remember the name? Because I jumped in and I introduced myself, and then I was like, I got too busy to kind of add more value to the group. So
trying to see here. I've got
you can pull it up.
Page. I'm trying to see the notification here.
Mentioning Mount Ida Preservation Society. Follow them on Facebook. Great group. What's that?
Association.
I'm so sorry. I called Stash Rusin for years, so it's my MO. Sorry. But yeah, it's look them up on Facebook. Mount Ida. They've got a beautiful church. They're turning into kind of like a wedding / not concert, but music venue kind of thing. Community center. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. So, Kara, your new group that you have on Facebook, can you describe that a little bit and what it's for?
Yes. Yeah. So, I think as we all know, last year, just with the major increase in people wanting to get outdoors, we just saw a lot of places collect a lot of garbage, and some property owners restricting access and things like that. And, a lot of people were arguing on on my site just with each other about this isn't what you do, this is what you should do, da 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 da. So I kind of just thought that I would get a bunch of people together who had a strong interest in, certain areas of, of the outdoors, and maybe kind of like, I just feel like if I keep putting stuff out, people are like, oh, that's wonderful, I don't feel like reading it or whatever. So I just thought, like, if I put it back on the members to get everybody else talking and things like that, that maybe that would be a better strategy.
Right.
Just trying to be a little proactive and get people thinking about how, like, what their impact is when they're outdoors.
Yeah, so narrowing down the focus of the extra group itself to specifically that subject, right? It's kind of what your goal is.
Yeah. So we would, in that group, we could talk about whatever, and then I would just ask people to, like, find some information based on their topic of interest, and then share it in the main group. Just kind of like stick to their own topic so that we didn't have like a million different things going on at once in the same area,
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your main group again? Just since we're kind of reintroducing ourselves a little bit.
Oh, New York Hikes and Waterfalls.
Yep. Yeah. Leave no footprints. Or
yes.
What? Yeah. I'm having a tough night with words for some reason, so I'm glad I got that right.
Thanks to you for making us change our name.
Well, I just didn't want to get, I didn't want you getting a nasty gram from anybody. So
no, that's okay. I like knowing that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we've hit our 1 hour mark, and I think probably we haven't gotten a lot of questions. So maybe next time I'm going to try to give a better heads up to everyone. And if 7:30 works out for everyone, I want to get as many people on again, and we'll talk about pretty much anything. So Stash, you want to say anything before we log off?
Be safe.
Be safe. Excellent.
Enjoy the thaw, because it's going to happen in a couple days. It's still going to be, if you're gonna hike anywhere, still bring safe traction, because there's going to be ice.
Lots of ice. Yeah.
Lots and lots of ice now.
Yeah. Underneath the leaves.
Yeah, it's going to thaw, and then it's going to freeze overnight, and it's going to thaw again. So traction.
Yes. Cara, did you want to kind of leave any parting words?
No.
No shout outs. All right. Carl, how about you, man? I know you're good for a couple words.
Oh yeah. Well, with Mount Ida preservation, we're out here, we're doing things. Appreciate a like here and there. We're also doing fundraising to fix our building up. Major masonry repairs this year to finish off the stabilizing the building. Keep going from there. Also follow the Narrows project in Troy for new updates for the summer. And yeah, everyone stay safe. Especially, hopefully, when the vaccines are coming through, we should be able to do more things again.
Yep.
As long as everyone stays safe.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wear a mask.
Yes. Wear a mask.
Big thing.
I like that.
When you're within 6 foot.
Yeah,
that's true.
Feet of people. Otherwise, fresh air is so good for you.
Yes, it is. Yeah, get outdoors. Get outdoors. That's all I have to say. Is definitely get outdoors. Get away from everyone else. Just get outdoors. Yeah. So if a parking lot is full or close to full, find another place close by. Seeing too many of the park rangers posting full lots and full roadsides because someone wants a specific peak or a specific trail. So I would say from my end, find a different trail, find a waterfall instead of a mountain that you want to bag. Dig the falls. John Haywood put together 4 hiking guides for waterfall challenges. You earn patches and certificates for those. So check them out. Look up John Haywood on Amazon.com, and you'll be able to find those hiking guides pretty easily. So, but yeah, otherwise, get outdoors. That's all I have to say. So, but if you guys are good, I'm logging off. and we'll end the broadcast. Thanks
Nice.
everyone that watched.
See you guys next time.